The Bible in a Year, Day 11, Job 38 through 42. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, Who is this who darkens counsel with words of ignorance? Gird up your loins now, like a man. I will question you, and you tell me the answers. Where were you when I founded the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its size? Surely you know. Who stretched out the measuring line for it? Into what were its pedestals sunk? And who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Who shut within the doors the sea, when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling bands? When I set limits for it, and fastened the bar of its door, and said, Thus far you shall come, but no farther, and here shall your proud waves stop. Have you ever in your lifetime commanded the morning, and shown the dawn its place? For taking hold of the ends of the earth, till the wicked are shaken from it, the earth is changed as clay by the seal, and dyed like a garment. But from the wicked their light is withheld, and the arm of pride is shattered. Have you entered into the sources of the sea, or walked out about on the bottom of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you, or have you seen the gates of darkness? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me, if you know it all. What is the way to the dwelling of light, and darkness, where is its place, that you may take it to its territory, and know the paths to its home? You know, because you were born there, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, and seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved for time of distress, for a day of war and battle? What is the way of the parting of the winds, where the east wind spreads over the earth? Who has laid out a channel for the downpour, and a path for the thunderstorm, to bring rain to uninhabited land, the unpeopled wilderness, to drench the desolate wasteland, till the desert blooms with verdure? Has the rain a father? Who has begotten the drops of dew, out of whose womb comes the ice? And who gives the hoarfrost its birth in the skies? When the waters lie covered as though with stone, that holds captive the surface of the deep, have you tied cords to the Pleiades, or loosened the bonds of Orion? Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth in their season, to guide the bear with her children? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you put into effect their plan on the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds, for them to cover you with a deluge of waters? Can you send forth lightnings on their way, so that they say to you, Here we are? Who gives wisdom to the ibis, and gives the rooster understanding? Who counts the clouds with wisdom? Who tilts the water jars of heaven, so that the dust of earth is fused into a mass, and its clods stick together? Do you hunt the prey of the lion, or appease the hunger of young lions, while they crouch in their dens, or lie in ambush in the thicket? Who provides nourishment for the raven, when its young cry out to God, wandering about without food? Do you know when mountain goats are born, or watch for their birth pangs of deer? Number the months that they must fulfill, or know when they give birth, when they crouch down and drop their young, when they deliver their progeny, their offspring thrive and grow in the open. They leave and do not return. Who has given the wild donkey his freedom, and who has loosened the wild ass from bonds? I have made the wilderness his home, and the salt flats his dwelling. He scoffs at the uproar of the city, hears no shouts of a driver. He ranges the mountains for pasture, and seeks out every patch of green. Will the wild ox consent to serve you, or pass the nights at your manger? Will you bind the wild ox with a rope in the furrow, and will he plow the valleys for you? Will you depend on him for his great strength, and leave to him the fruits of your toil? Can you rely on him to bring in your grain, and gather in the yield of your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap away, her plumage is lacking in feathers. When she abandons her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, she forgets that a foot may crush them, and the wild beast may trample them. She cruelly disowns her young, and her labor is useless. She has no fear, for God has withheld wisdom from her and given her no share in understanding. Yet when she spreads her wings high, she laughs at a horse and rider. Do you give the horse his strength, and clothe his neck with a mane? Do you make him a quiver like a locust, while his thunderous snorting spreads terror? He paws the valley, he rejoices in strength. He charges into battle, he laughs at fear and cannot be terrified. He does not retreat from the sword. Around him the rattles the quiver, flashes the spear and the javelin. Frenzied and trembling, he devours the ground. He does not hold back at the sound of the trumpet. At the trumpet's call he cries, "Aha!" Even from afar he scents the battle, the roar of the officers and the shouting. It is by your understanding that the hawk soars, that he spreads his wings toward the south. Does the eagle fly up at your command to build his nest up high? On a cliff he dwells and spends the night, on the spur of cliff or fortress. From there he watches for his food. His eyes behold it afar off. His young ones greedily drink blood. Where the slain are, there he is. The Lord then answered Job and said, Will one who argues with the Almighty be correct? Let him who would instruct God give answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Look, I am of little account. What can I answer you? I put my hand over my mouth. I have spoken once, I will not reply. Twice, but I will do so no more. Then the Lord answered Job out of the storm and said, Gird up your loins. Like a man I will question you, and you tell me the answers. Would you refuse to acknowledge my right? Would you condemn me that you may be justified? Have you an arm like that of God, or can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with grandeur and majesty, and clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Let loose the fury of your wrath. Look at everyone who is proud and bring them down. Look at everyone who is proud and humble them. Tear down the wicked in their place. Bury them in the dust together. In the hidden world imprison them. Then will I too praise you, for your own right hand can save you. Look at Behemoth, whom I made along with you, who feeds on grass like an ox. See the strength in his loins, the power in the sinews of his belly. He carries his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are like cables. His bones are like tubes of bronze. His limbs are like iron rods. He is the first of God's ways. Only his Maker can approach him with the sword. For the mountains bring him produce, and all wild animals make sport there. Under lotus trees he lies, it in covers of the reedy swamps. The lotus trees cover him with their shade. All about him are the poplar in the wadi. If the river grows violent, he is not disturbed. He is tranquil though the Jordan surges about his mouth. Who can capture him by his eyes, or pierce his nose with a trap? Can you lead Leviathan about with a hook, or tie down his tongue with a rope? Can you put a ring in his nose, or pierce through his cheek with a gaff? Will he then plead to you time after time, or address you with tender words? Will he make a covenant with you that you may have him as a slave forever? Can you play with him as with a bird? Can you tie him up for your little girls? Will the traders bargain for him? Will the merchants divide him up? Can you fill his hide with barbs, or his head with a fish's spear? Once you but lay a hand upon him, no need to recall any other conflict.